This is Zach Coburn from the Personal Trainers Business Incubator, and I want to talk today about productivity and how to hack your ADHD to get more results in your business. I personally struggled with ADHD my entire life. From the second I turned 12 years old, my parents put me in testing clinics, put me through doctors, and they diagnosed me with ADHD. They put me on prescription for ADHD medication. From the time I was 12 to the time I was 18, I took ADHD medication every single day, and I absolutely hated it. I hated my life. I hated who I became. I hated the social stuntness it gave me while I was in school. All I wanted to do was socialize with my friends, and I literally felt like I didn't know how to talk to them when I was on this medication. And so I became very against ADHD medication. And I see a lot of people saying, oh, I got ADHD, I need to take medication, blah, blah, blah. I think that a lot of people don't actually need it. They just need to learn how to focus, and they need to learn how to understand the way the brain works and how to understand how to optimize your work productivity. After I turned 18, I told my parents I'm never taking another pill again in my life. I am not going to be taking this anymore. I completely came off of it cold turkey, and I had to relearn how to learn. The interesting thing though is that my grades at school went from 4.0 back down to 2.0, and even in college I had a 1.7. They actually kicked me out of my community college because my grades were so poor. However, I never stopped learning. I was reading like crazy. I was watching YouTube videos like crazy. I was researching stuff online like never before, and I realized that I didn't have a focus problem. I had an interest problem. I wasn't interested in any of the stuff that they were teaching me in school, and so I never paid attention. However, with all the stuff that I was interested in, I became hyper fixated and hyper obsessed with that information, and I would just go down rabbit holes for hours. And so I realized, okay, this isn't an ADHD problem. This is just me needing to understand how I focus and how I learn and how to optimize and hack the way that I get stuff done. What I've learned over the course of building a 7-figure business is that you don't have to sit down and expect to get everything done all in one sitting. You can let your interest wander and let your attention fade. And I'll give you an example of how I learned how to do this. So over the last couple of years, I've gotten a few really, really big projects done. I built my coaching business to over 6 figures. I built an online course to teach my clients how to track their macros, how to build out their workout plans, and how to just optimize their fitness. I built 2 versions of the same course. I built PTBI and I built PTBI 2.0, which both took about 3 months to build out. I also built our PTBI takeover course, which is to teach coaches how to scale to $20,000, $30,000 per month. That took another 3 months to build out. And I also wrote a book about my life and about how I found my path into entrepreneurship. Again, that took another 6 months to build out. So how did I, with ADHD and a attention problem, be able to accomplish projects that have made millions of dollars and took months to build out? Here's how I did it. I did not expect myself to get everything done in one sitting. What I did was I set aside time every single day to work on that project, but I never gave any pressure to get that project done in a certain timeline. And what I find is that a lot of people who have big projects, let's say you're building a business, let's just say you're building out a resource, let's say you're building out a free guide that you're going to give to your clients, and you're procrastinating. It's probably because you're giving yourself a couple hours a night and you're trying to get as much done as possible. You're having a hard time focusing because it's just too overwhelming. What I did personally was I would set aside 1 to 2 hours a day. That was it, to work on the course, work on my book, work on the business. And whatever I got done in that time, I was done. I would pack it up for the day and I would come back the next day. And the way I was able to focus was not focusing in the short term, but was staying focused in the long term, being consistent with that focus long term. Because I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, your brain capacity only has so much space for creativity and output. And what will happen is you will get 1 to 2 hours of work done, you'll be in flow, and then your brain will just absolutely just fart and it will just go to kaput. And people will put so much pressure on themselves to try to get that done and push through that, when in reality, you should probably just give yourself a break or call it a day. It is so much better to just call it a day and come back the next day and be consistent with that one project over the course of a month than it is to try to get as much of that done in a short time as possible. Because what's going to happen is your work isn't going to be very good. You're going to beat yourself up for not being productive, and you're going to wonder what the hell is wrong with you. That's what happened to me. If you have a project, let's say you're working on that free guide, give yourself 1 to 2 hours a day to work on that guide and be consistent with that every single day for a week. It might take you 14 days to build out that project, but that project's going to be done by the time that 14 days is up, rather than trying to get it done in 1 day or 2 days or even 3 days and just beating yourself up thinking, what the heck is wrong with you? How come everyone else can do all these things, but you can't do it? There's nothing nothing wrong with you. You just need to give yourself more time and understand how your brain works. What I found to work really perfect is 1 to 2 hours a day to work on big creative projects. Once I can feel myself getting distracted, once I find myself pulling up my phone too much or wanting to call my friends or, just finding something to distract myself, I don't try to revert back to that thing. I let myself get distracted and I take it as a sign that, hey, my brain is probably telling me that I'm done here. So I need to pack it up for the day and come back tomorrow. And what happens the next day is I come back extremely focused, extremely motivated. I'm able to move forward again. About an hour or two goes by, I find myself getting distracted. I'm watching YouTube videos, I'm reading books, I'm just, finding anything to do that's not the thing I'm supposed to be working on. I take that as a sign again that I'm done. I come back the next day and I repeat that process until the project is done. Understand how your brain works. Understand that you don't need to do big projects all at once. Give yourself more time to do it. Give yourself a month, 2 months, 3 months. It took me 3 months to build out my course. It took me 6 months to write my book, right? It didn't happen overnight. It happened in consistent chunks. Don't beat yourself up. Give yourself time and you will get big stuff done.